20 years ago, the most feared monsters in the 100-Acre Wood that even as kids we knew were imaginary despite believing in monsters ourselves. Millennials, what do you expect? Were brought to life for the very first time in Pooh's Heffalump Movie. One day, Pooh and his friends discover Heffalump tracks in the 100-Acre Wood and naturally are so freaked out they decide to trek into Heffalump territory and capture one. Okay. Roo, being deemed too young to join, ventures out on his own and comes across one around his age named Lumpy, and big surprise, Heffalumps are perfectly harmless creatures, same as everyone else, and he and Roo become good friends despite everyone else instantly finding him a threat, and at the very first sight of him, start chasing him like the Frankenstein villagers with ropes and traps and, yeah, real cute and cuddly stuff, I know. Even before rewatching this for the review, just based off the memories I had seeing it as a kid, I was ready to go into this saying that Pooh's Heffalump Movie presents prejudice and certain character decisions in a way that was too dark and out of character for Winnie the Pooh, but then I remembered there's a segment of Piglet's Big Movie that's actually based off a story from the original A.A. Milne book where Pooh and his friends meet Kanga and Roo for the first time and for some reason are so terrified of them that they decide to kidnap Roo and swap him with Piglet to somehow make both of them leave forever. I feel dirty just saying that. But Kanga, being the smart one of the group, deciding to teach them a lesson and show her true nature, goes along with the charade and ends up winning them over. So yeah, even from the beginning, technically the themes of acceptance and prejudice have been done in Winnie the Pooh before, and bizarre as it sounds, Pooh and his friends have done more malicious, mean-spirited things in other stuff than they do here. It just doesn't come across that way, because whereas the book in Piglet's Big Movie knew how to portray the lessons of acceptance in that cute, charming Winnie the Pooh spirit, this spends its first 45 minutes being a generic straight-to-video Pooh movie that you forget the second it's over, and the other 15 minutes being such a mean-spirited, unpleasant after-school special. Which is a shame, because there were certain scenes where it showed it had the potential to get these themes right. There's a scene where Roo tries introducing Lumpy to everyone, but Lumpy doesn't want to cross into the 100-Acre Wood because, get this, Heffalumps are afraid of Pooh's friends. They see Tigger's pouncing, Piglet's nervous shakes among other things, and misinterpret them as threatening the same way Pooh's friends misunderstand the Heffalumps. And both sides, when asked how they come to these dumb conclusions, they just go, well, everybody knows that. That's actually a really smart way of showing that prejudice can exist in anyone and be justified even if it makes no sense. It also emphasizes how the fear of unknown tends to be what encourages hatred in people, and only by interacting with each other can we actually dispel or debunk any myths and actually find common ground. The two best scenes in the movie honestly just show Lumpy playing with Roo and everyone else in these montages without dialogue, set to the best song Carly Simon wrote for this. The visuals of Roo and Lumpy swimming, even water skiing as he uses his trunk for different aspects, like swinging everyone around or helping Pooh up a honey tree without climbing. That's the kind of whimsical, laid-back, charming stuff that you want from a Winnie the Pooh movie, but here's the problem. The second montage, the one that features all of Pooh's friends and is the most inspiring, is the end credits. And when I saw that, I just thought to myself, you could have had Roo introduce him to everyone earlier on. They would have been scared and ran away, but he would keep introducing himself, helping them with their everyday lives. They would let go of their fears and start accepting him. Why wasn't that the movie? Wouldn't that be a hell of a lot more charming and uplifting? And my only response as to why they hadn't thought of that is because this went to theaters just to cash in on Winnie the Pooh when it was originally supposed to go straight to video, and honestly, it really shows. Even when these characters do nothing, just seeing them have a basic conversation has always been heartwarming to watch, and it's the reason, whether you're a kid or an adult, you should be able to love Winnie the Pooh. This movie has a lot more of the characters talking over each other and not listening, because if they did, the movie would end a lot sooner, and instead thinks that little kids want to see nothing but the lamest comedy routines these guys have ever done. Even when I was 9 years old, Pooh seeing Tigger's tail, rabbit's ears in a bush, hearing their voices, and somehow still mistaking them for monsters was always stupid. It never made sense, and there are way too many jokes in this that operate on the exact same level. And you know what's bad? When the actors who have been playing these roles for decades and are trying everything they can to make it work just can't save it. Meanwhile, Eeyore is only in this to carry 3 times the baggage he usually does. That joke took more effort than the slapstick in this. And while I remember Roo and Lumpy's friendship being the main highlight of the film, rewatching it as an adult, I struggle to figure out what it is that made the two of them friends to begin with. At first, Roo finds him annoying and just wants to introduce him to everybody before sending him on his way, and that's before they even introduce each other's names. It isn't until they cross into the 100-Acre Wood, have a food fight, start causing trouble, that they really start to bond. And speaking of trouble, I'll just say it, as an adult, Lumpy's kind of annoying and a little too much of a troublemaker, and don't get me wrong, I don't blame the actor for any of this. Kyle Sanger actually auditioned among 900 other kids, including his own sister, for the part, and honestly, just listening to his voice work, you can tell. He's got that wide-eyed, playful, yet timid personality, and when he has to feel sad, Sanger really sells the emotions behind it. But here's the thing. When he first meets Roo, he does kind of force Roo into playing whatever games come to mind with him, which I know was the idea, but it did get a little too forceful and annoying after a while. And when they do go into the 100-Acre Wood, he makes a lot of dumb decisions like going through Pooh's honey, Rabbit's garden, accidentally and sometimes intentionally knocking over, destroying things during he and Roo's food fight that I'm sure the excuse is he's a little kid who doesn't know any better, but in the context of the movie, it felt like a plot-convenient excuse to make him look bad when everyone starts chasing after him. And as much as I hated the climax, the gang at least apologized to Lumpy for their actions. He got off scot-free overstepping his boundaries. But yeah, the climax of this movie, where the first 5 minutes of it is Roo and Lumpy walking around mopey and sad because Lumpy can't find his mom, which... Cheerio stuff. And the other 10 where some of the most lovable Disney characters of all time become uncharacteristically enraged, hateful, and just downright mean. I'll be honest, I watched a good chunk of this on mute, mainly because I've seen this enough times as a kid to remember what they say and how they go about it, and honestly, who the fuck wants to watch Winnie the Pooh and friends lasso an innocent creature and tug at its neck, while being celebratory about it? These guys forget who they were making the movie about? And that's after what should have been the climax, where Roo actually does free Lumpy from a trap, and Kanga is watching from a distance in silence, completely proud at her son for doing the right thing. And honestly, if the other friends were watching alongside and actually came to their senses a hell of a lot sooner, it would have been a much more impactful and insightful ending, but no, they had to prolong it even more by having the friends magically appear at the very last second after springing the trap, where all they can see is Lumpy holding Roo through his trunk. And somehow missing the fact that they're both smiling and laughing. Honestly, even as a kid, I called bullshit on this. And before the actual climax, where Roo almost gets crushed by a bunch of logs, there's darker Winnie the Pooh shit than this. Why am I complaining? Oh, right, because this is actually for little kids. The tone shift is so jarring in this that when you see the marketing that's as cheerful as always, or the plot synopsis that only describes the last 10 minutes, without giving any hints that you were going to show these characters' darker sides, if you could really even call it that, it's clear that they wanted to hide all of this stuff at the last minute. There's not much else to say other than 20 years later, Pooh's Heffalump Movie is just a mess, full of so many out-of-character decisions for such lovable characters being uncharacteristically evil to convey a message that honestly, they didn't even need to act this way in order to convey it. Like I said, other Pooh movies have tackled these themes and tackled them a lot better, which honestly makes it more shocking and insulting that they failed this miserably. I kind of grew out of Winnie the Pooh after this movie specifically because I was 9 at this point, so I haven't really seen Lumpy evolve as a character. Maybe he's gotten better, they've introduced him in other stuff, who knows, he could have improved, but this just does not make me want to find out. And on that anticlimactic note, guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Pooh's Heffalump Movie, and what's your favorite out of the trilogy of 2000s Pooh movies that came out, because I still think Piglet's big movie wins by a landslide. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and I'll see you all in the next review. Take care.